Investigators have started the painstaking task of going through tons of toxic rubbish housed in dozens of sea containers at Felixstowe port. The Environment Agency was called in after a container ship carrying the load was ordered back to port by the Brazilian authorities.
1,400 tonnes of rubbish, enough to fill 89 containers, and it all needs sorting.
In those containers there will be approximately 40 bales, and we will break a certain number of those bales from each container, and we will take evidence and exhibits from each one of those bales.
It's a dirty, smelly job. There's everything here from cassettes to cans, but it's illegal to export waste for disposal abroad.
Well, it's pure criminality, and to actually deposit this type of product into another country and expect them to dispose of it and then make money from that type of activity is inexcusable, and it's one that the Environment Agency will not tolerate.
The containers will return to the UK via Felixstowe in August. Evidence is being gathered as part of an inquiry into the source of the waste. Sorting the rubbish will keep the team busy for the next 2 months. Meanwhile, a further 10 containers rejected by the Brazilian authorities are also on their way back to Felixstowe. Catherine Nash, BBC Look East.
Education advisors are being sent to Suffolk to target 3 schools that are failing to hit exam targets. Suffolk is one of 3 local authorities singled out by the Education Secretary. Less than 30% of the pupils at the schools are achieving 5 A to C grades in their GCSEs.
There are 7 schools in the National Challenge in Suffolk, and of them 4 have improved. One of them is our most improved school across the whole county. But there are 3 schools which are still below 30%, and we intend to work with the department to get them above that national threshold in the next summer.
A mother is warning parents about the danger of leaving cigarette lighters lying around after her young daughter suffered 40% burns. Molly Washington was playing with a lighter when her vest caught fire.
We all know about the dangers of smoking, but what about the risk from leaving your lighter lying around? Unfortunately, Emma Washington knows only too well. Her daughter Molly suffered 40% burns after playing with her mother's lighter.
I lit it against a piece of paper because I just thought it would go brown, because I was just messing about, and it just exploded and went onto my top.
She's actually burnt all of her upper body up to her collarbone. She's needing lots of care at the moment. She needs creaming lots 3 times a day. She needs lots of painkillers to keep comfortable. In the future, she'll be wearing a pressure garment, which will keep the skin flat for at least 2 years.
Emma has now given up smoking, and she's warning other parents to keep lighters in a safe place.
I would say to other parents, don't just warn the children the dangers, because I warned Molly so many times and obviously it wasn't enough, so do put them completely out of sight at all times.
What would your warning be to other children about lighters?
Do not play with lighters, because my sister got burnt by one.
As a thank you, Molly's dad Rob is holding a charity fundraiser for the Air Ambulance and Brimfield Hospital at the Red Line pub in Norwich this Saturday. Dawn Gerber, BBC Look East.
The Minister for International Defence and Security called in at RAF Marham today. 31 Squadron will be leaving early next month for a tour of duty in Afghanistan. Baroness Anne Taylor witnessed a show of force and spent some time chatting to the crews.
I'm very impressed. I think we've got fantastic planes here with amazing equipment, and we have got crews who are very professional and very keen to get out to Afghanistan and make a real difference.
Take one concrete wall, a load of paint and 3 months of hard work by a talented artist, and you can completely transform a place. Mike Liggins has been to Sheringham in Norfolk to see how a splash of colour has added a new dimension to the seaside town.
As you can see here, I'm pretty loose on this one because, as you can see, it's very, very rough.
Yeah, I bet someone's done with it.
For the first time, I've been interacting with the public.
Instead of plain concrete.
Sheringham is a pretty seaside town. The good place to pass the time of day, enjoy a plate of fish and chips perhaps. But the sea wall is less than lovely. Good for keeping out the sea, not so great to look at, which is why the town has asked Colin Seal to paint some murals. The biggest is 75 metres wide and depicts Sheringham's seafaring history.
The paint we use is the same paint they use to paint lighthouses with, and it's got a guarantee for 15 years, and it's pretty hard. And the colours they've got was just perfect for us, because we didn't want to have colours that are not in keeping with the environment.
But Colin Seal's history mural isn't the first and won't be the last. They're not just on the sea wall, there's one in the bus shelter. The public seem to like them.
Very nice. It is, it's beautiful.
Better than local graffiti.
You can see this better from a distance than close up. So you work on different concretes, you have a different approach.
The hope is that Colin will paint more murals, because one man's concrete wall is another man's canvas. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East, Sheringham.
This week, the employers' organisation, the CBI, stirred up a hornet's nest when it said there were too many students at university and that those who do go should pay more.
The question of whether to go to university or not is becoming harder for students confronted with rising costs and tuition fees. Today, one of Britain's most successful businesswomen went back to her old school in Northampton and told Janine Machin what she thought.
In the 37 years since Rowena Bird last walked the corridors of Squadron School, not only have the premises changed, but her fortunes have too. Co-founder of the high street cosmetic company Lush, she now travels the world to expand the business. But she's the first to admit that university didn't play a part for her.
From school, I went on to learn to be a beauty therapist. I didn't realise that could be a job. It seemed too good to be true. How on earth can you do something that's so fabulous for a living? But I went and trained to do that, and then I went and joined the team of people I actually work with now down in Poole in Dorset, and I've been down there 28 years. Do you know what? I think I've always wanted to do it. We used to go collect the bluebells, collect the daffodils, try and make perfumes out of them. I used to make everybody up that came in, including my granddad, bless him. He had a bald head and he used to have faces painted on it.
Today, Rowena's back to help launch Duston's new special status as a business, enterprise and science school. Here, there's a real emphasis on giving the students vocational skills to help them find employment and a science background to help them stand out from the art students at university. But some are now starting to question whether further education is simply a waste of time.
Pretty nerve-wracking at first, but no, I just sort of thought, I'll get out there. I'm not sort of one who's like, I swallowed my pride a bit and thought, well, if this gets me a job, why not?
David Rowe from Cambridge has a history degree and has taken to wandering the streets of London looking for work. And with the prospect of higher fees, some students at Anglia Ruskin are feeling even more uncertain about their futures.
I just think it will discourage people from coming to uni, and we need more educated people, and it just won't be positive at all.
It's not easy, and I know people are saying, you know, students get too much money, but it didn't even cover my last year's rent, the student loan, so it's not easy being a student.
Lush does offer a graduate training scheme, but for Rowena, the key to finding employment is not simply a matter of qualifications.
Personally, I don't think university is important. You know, one of our girls, Ruth, who's our green campaigner, she started as a part-timer in one of our shops. She kept going on and on about how we weren't green enough, we weren't recycling, we weren't making sure that our rubbish was going to the right place and everything. Now she heads up the whole of the green movement within Lush. Your life is what you make it. It's all about attitude, really.
And apologies for the flashing on that. There were some